The year is 2024 and the world watches as the conflict in Ukraine continues to unfold. The once peaceful landscapes of Eastern Europe have become a theater of war, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. The specter of conflict has returned to haunt the continent, casting long shadows across the global stage. This is not merely a regional conflict, it is a clash of ideologies with global implications. The outcome will have profound consequences for Europe and the international order. To comprehend the present, we must delve into the past, examining the historical tensions that have shaped the current crisis. To understand the current conflict in Ukraine, one must journey back through time, unearthing the layers of history that have shaped the complex relationship between Russia and its Western neighbors. The roots of this discord run deep, entangled in a web of imperial ambitions and ideological struggles. The 20th century witnessed a series of cataclysmic events that left an indelible mark on the region. The First World War redrew the map of Europe, shattering empires and unleashing nationalist fervor. The horrors of the Second World War further scarred the landscape as Ukraine became a battleground between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. The seeds of future conflict were sown in the ashes of this devastating war, as resentment and mistrust festered between Russia and its neighbors. The end of the Second World War brought about a new geopolitical order, but the shadow of the Soviet Union loomed large over Eastern Europe. Ukraine found itself firmly within the Soviet sphere of influence, its fate intertwined with that of its powerful neighbor. The Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin sought to consolidate its control over these territories, suppressing dissent and imposing its will. Ukraine played a vital role in the Soviet economy, but its people were denied basic freedoms. The dream of independence flickered beneath the surface, awaiting the opportunity to re-emerge. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked a turning point, ushering in an era of newfound freedom for many former Soviet republics, including Ukraine. The legacy of Soviet domination continued to shape the political landscape, influencing relations between Russia and its neighbors. The rise of Vladimir Putin to power in Russia marked a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape. Putin, a former KGB officer, brought with him a worldview shaped by his experiences in the Soviet era. Under his leadership, Russia adopted a more assertive foreign policy, seeking to reclaim its lost influence. Putin viewed the collapse of the Soviet Union as a geopolitical catastrophe. He saw the expansion of NATO eastward as a direct threat to Russian interests. Ukraine, with its strategic location, became a focal point of this geopolitical struggle. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine are clear manifestations of this assertive foreign policy. In geopolitics, geography often dictates destiny. Certain locations, due to their strategic importance, become focal points of contention. These strategic gateways can tip the balance of power, granting access to vital resources or military advantage. Ukraine, with its vast Black Sea coastline, holds significant strategic value for both Russia and the West. Russia's annexation of Crimea, which gave it control of the port of Sevastopol, was a clear demonstration of the Kremlin's determination to secure its access to the Black Sea. The ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine can also be seen through the lens of strategic gateways. As the crisis in Ukraine unfolds, the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania watch with apprehension and resolve. These small nations, located on the eastern flank of NATO, share a history intertwined with Russia. The Soviet annexation of these countries after the Second World War remains a painful memory. The collapse of the Soviet Union brought about a new era of freedom and prosperity for the Baltic states. Their membership in NATO and the European Union was seen as a guarantee of their security. The events in Ukraine have shattered this sense of security, sending shockwaves through the region. The Baltic states have responded by strengthening their defenses and seeking closer ties with their NATO allies. Poland, a nation with a long and tumultuous history, finds itself once again at the crossroads of geopolitics. Situated between Russia and Germany, Poland has often been caught in the crossfire of their ambitions. The collapse of the Soviet Union brought about a period of relative peace and stability for Poland. The country embraced democracy, implemented market reforms, and joined NATO and the European Union. However, the ghosts of history continued to cast a long shadow over Polish foreign policy. Poland has been a staunch supporter of Ukraine, providing humanitarian aid, military equipment, and diplomatic backing. This support stems from a deep-seated understanding of the potential threat that an unchecked Russia poses to the region. The nature of warfare is in a constant state of flux. The conflict in Ukraine showcases the evolving nature of modern warfare, a blend of conventional and unconventional tactics. The initial phase was marked by conventional military operations with tanks, artillery, and ground troops. However, as the conflict progressed, we witnessed a shift towards hybrid warfare, combining military force with cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and political subversion. Russia has become adept at employing hybrid warfare tactics, recognizing their effectiveness in achieving strategic goals. The annexation of Crimea was achieved through a combination of covert military operations, propaganda, and political maneuvering. The conflict in Ukraine is not merely a regional crisis. Its reverberations are felt far beyond Eastern Europe. The world watches with apprehension and uncertainty, aware that the stakes are high. The conflict has exposed the fault lines in the international system, testing alliances and raising profound questions about global security. One of the most immediate impacts has been the humanitarian crisis it has unleashed. Millions of Ukrainians have been displaced, seeking refuge in neighboring countries or within Ukraine itself. The war has resulted in countless casualties, leaving a trail of destruction and despair. The international community has responded with humanitarian aid, but the needs are immense. The conflict has also had a profound impact on the global economy, disrupting supply chains and fueling inflation. Predicting the future is a fool's errand, but by examining the currents of the present, we can attempt to chart a course through uncertainty. One possible scenario is a protracted stalemate, a war of attrition that grinds on for months, if not years. This would likely result in continued suffering for the Ukrainian people and further damage to the economy. Another scenario is a negotiated settlement, a diplomatic solution that brings an end to the fighting. This would require significant concessions from both sides and likely involve international mediation. The success of any settlement would depend on the willingness of both Russia and Ukraine to compromise. A third, and perhaps more dangerous scenario, is an escalation of the conflict, either intentionally or through miscalculation. The decisions made by leaders in the coming days, weeks, and months will shape the course of history. As the conflict in Ukraine continues, the world watches with a mixture of apprehension and hope. The outcome will have profound and lasting consequences for Europe and the international order. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of diplomacy and dialogue. The conflict has exposed the fault lines in the international system, testing alliances and raising questions about global security. The world holds its breath, hoping for a swift and peaceful resolution. However, the road ahead is fraught with uncertainty. The hope for a brighter future rests on our collective ability to learn from the past and embrace diplomacy over conflict.